Right now what we're going to do is show you how to replace this small keypad. This has a quick start and a stop key, and if for some reason one of these keys is stuck or it's just not responding, we'll give you the instructions on how you want to replace this. Right here I have my replacement keypad. You look on the back, you'll see it still has the little protective paper here where the adhesive is. We don't want to take it off quite yet. What we want to do before we go and install this is you want to just first click on this and make sure you hear that it's clicking. Same thing with a quick start. Make sure that when you press it, you hear this click and you feel the click. Another thing we want to do is, since I have my multimeter here, is I want to do a quick test using my multimeter and make sure that the keys are also responding. So I got my multimeter set for a continuity check. If I short these two pins, you can see that it makes a little beeping noise. And now I'm going to check between these two pins on the cable. And you'll see there's a little point here where you can just plug them in, put them there. You can hold it with one hand. And when I hit the quick start, I hear the beep. So that's working. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the stop key, and I'm going to use these two pins right here. And that one's working. So right now I verified that this keypad is working. There's no problems. It's opening and closing the way it should. The reason I did this is that if during this process when you install this keypad, if you don't do it correctly, if you bend it, you push too hard on some points, you may cause damage. And you want to make sure it works before you put it in there. And that way once it's in there, if it's not working, well, maybe something happened during that install process. With what we're going to show you here today though, you shouldn't have any problems getting this installed. Next step we're going to do is we're going to remove this old keypad from the housing. It's probably the easiest thing to do is take this whole thing off like I have it here. If you try to install it in the machine, it's going to be kind of difficult. So take it off. In the long run, it'll save you some time. Using like a small screwdriver like this, I'm going to just kind of push in here. And remember, this is the old keypad. It's not working, so we're not too worried about trying to save it or anything. So we're gonna just jam this in here and push the old keypad out. There's our old keypad. You can see it's a little bit sticky and tough to get out. But just using some force and you can push it out. Just take it and discard the old keypad. The next thing you want to do is you want to look at this and make sure you don't have any residue. And actually this one came out real clean. There's no residue from the old keypad on there. If you do see some of this like adhesive stuck on there, you want to clean that off. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this alcohol wipe and I'm going to clean this surface just to make sure it's completely clean and that nothing is, there's no residue or anything else left behind that will stop the adhesive from working. And then before I install this keypad, I want to wait till it's completely dried. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this adhesive. And actually, before I do that, the one thing I want to highlight is you don't when we put this in here, we don't want to press down on this whole keypad. Really, all we're going to do is kind of go around the edges here and a little bit in the middle, just to make sure the adhesive is adhering to the plastics. The other thing you'll notice is if you look, let's see right here, this little hole right here is actually a vent, and if you look on our plastics right here, there is also a little hole, and that vent needs to line up with the hole in the plastics right here. If it doesn't, you may run into like a vacuum situation where you press it, maybe the air rushes out, and then the keys don't want to pop back up because you've plugged the hole for the venting of the air. So you want to make sure those are also lined up. next thing we're going to do is just slide the ribbon cable in there. This ribbon cable can be a little bit sensitive. I mean, it can handle some moving around, but just be mindful of it as you're putting this on, not to kind of yank or tear the cable. And then I'm going to just put this in there, and you can see it lines up pretty good. Before I press down, I'm going to look at my venting hole, and it looks pretty good. The hole's there with this hole. The next thing, as I mentioned earlier, is we're not going to just push down on this to make sure it's on there. We're just going to kind of push around the edges here, just like this. And then come up a little bit on the inside. What we found is that if you try to keep pushing on these keypads, you can put some pretty good damage on them, especially just in this process of getting the adhesive on there. They are designed to be pushed during normal operation, but we recommend just going around the outside just to ensure that you don't put any damage on the mechanical components inside of this keypad. The next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to do a quick test again, just to make sure that they're not damaged. I don't want to go through the whole process of putting it back on only to find out maybe I messed something up or I damaged one of the ribbons or something in the process. So I'll just get my multimeter again, set it for a continuity check, and go here between the pin 1 and pin 5. And quick start is working. And pin 2 and pin 5. And my stop is definitely working. Now I can go ahead and just reinstall this, and we got a good operational keypad.